have Trump elected and know that Americans made that happen, working Americans?
Well, it's because of this. It's because your government, the British government, advertises to these asylum seekers what you'll get.
He's not having anything to do with our foreign secretary because our foreign secretary is despicable, and he's going to reject.
Donald Trump just delivered what might be the most devastating political snub of the year to Keir Starmer. And Katie Hopkins isn't letting the Prime Minister forget it. The former US president's rejection has sent shockwaves through UK politics, with potential consequences for everything from trade deals to our international standing. But the real story here isn't just Trump's criticism, it's how figures like Hopkins are amplifying it, turning what could have been a minor diplomatic hiccup into a full-blown credibility crisis for Starmer. Is our Prime Minister truly equipped to handle this level of international pressure? Or is this the beginning of his leadership unraveling on the world stage? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Keir Starmer finds himself caught in a political tornado, one that threatens to upend his still-fresh premiership. Trump's rejection wasn't just a diplomatic snub, it was the lighting of a fuse that Katie Hopkins wasted no time in detonating. What we're witnessing isn't just political commentary.
To have Trump elected and know that Americans made that happen, working Americans?
No, that is the warning from investment firm JP Morgan, who claim the odds of a global recession have spiked.
It's a masterclass in amplification that has transformed an international slight into a full-blown leadership crisis. When Trump refused to engage with Starmer, he exposed a vulnerability that Hopkins immediately recognised and exploited. Her approach wasn't simply to agree with Trump, but to escalate his criticism with her own distinctive flair. This is where Hopkins truly shines, in her ability to take an ember of controversy and fan it into flames that consume the public conversation.
He's not having anything to do with our foreign secretary because our foreign secretary is despicable, and he's going to reject.
Because Britain is waking up today to Trump's tariffs and a chilling message: there will be blood.
Her razor-sharp commentary didn't merely echo Trump's sentiments, it magnified them, creating a resonance that continues to reverberate through Britain's political landscape. The contrast between these two critics couldn't be more striking. Trump, with his no-filter approach, delivers blunt assessments that land like hammer blows, direct and unmistakable. Hopkins, meanwhile, operates with surgical precision, calling out Starmer in ways that few others would dare.
Invited Keir Starmer to the inauguration because he knows what Keir Starmer is, our ambassador to the US, because Trump already knows that he's a piece of work as well for ordinary Brits.
Where Trump questioned Starmer's competence, Hopkins has gone further, crafting a narrative that portrays the Prime Minister as fundamentally disconnected from ordinary Britons, a leader more concerned with appearances than action. Trump's criticism of Starmer's handling of grooming gangs during his tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions struck at something far more damaging than policy disagreements. It questioned his moral foundation. This attack on Starmer's past performance as a prosecutor touches on a particularly sensitive nerve in British politics, where protection of vulnerable citizens is considered a fundamental responsibility of leadership. Hopkins seized upon this vulnerability, expanding it into a broader indictment of Starmer's character and judgment.
Well, it's because of this. It's because your government, the British government, advertises to these asylum seekers what you'll get. Your allowance will be loaded onto a debit card each week to make it easy for you to spend what you want to spend. Isn't that nice?
The tactical brilliance of Hopkins' approach lies in her understanding of audience psychology. Her commentary, characterised by raw, unfiltered emotion, speaks directly to voters who feel alienated from mainstream political discourse. These aren't just passive consumers of news. They're citizens who have long harboured doubts about Starmer's leadership strength and who find in Hopkins a voice that articulates their frustrations. When her words demand to be heard and hit hard, they resonate with those who feel the political establishment has ignored them. This presents Starmer with an impossible dilemma. If he responds forcefully, he risks appearing thin-skinned and defensive, potentially lending credibility to the criticisms. If he maintains his cautious, measured tone, he reinforces the perception that he lacks the strength to defend himself.
Let me tell you what you'll get if you're an asylum seeker in the UK, whether you're actually an asylum seeker or whether you were perfectly safe in France. Asylum seeker, you're a failed asylum seeker in my country, your country. You'll be given somewhere to live in your household to help you pay for things like food, clothing and toiletries. I am actually reading this from the government website.
And by extension to defend Britain's interests. This psychological trap is particularly effective because it exploits the existing narrative that Starmer is indecisive, caught in analysis when action is required. History offers few comforting precedents for Starmer. When Margaret Thatcher faced international criticism, she leveraged it to reinforce her iron-willed image. Tony Blair weathered similar storms by leaning into his reputation for charm and persuasion. But Starmer has yet to establish a defining leadership characteristic that would allow him to transform this challenge into an opportunity. His response appears reactive rather than strategic, suggesting a leader responding to events rather than shaping them. The timing couldn't be worse for Starmer. With domestic challenges mounting and his honeymoon period in office fading, Trump's rejection and Hopkins's amplification create a perfect storm that threatens to define his premiership before it's truly begun. Hopkins's portrayal of Starmer as morally compromised and out of touch reinforces existing doubts about his leadership at precisely the moment when he needs to project strength and confidence. The criticism doesn't merely question his policies, it challenges his fundamental fitness for office. For disillusioned voters already sceptical of the political establishment, Hopkins serves as a translator of complex political dynamics into emotionally resonant narratives. Her characterization of Starmer as prioritising appearances over action speaks directly to those who feel governed by a remote elite more concerned with international perception than domestic realities. When Hopkins suggests that Starmer lacks the strength to lead, she's not merely offering an opinion, she's articulating a fear that many voters already harbour. This two-pronged attack on Starmer reveals the true challenge facing his premiership. It's not about securing approval from international figures like Trump, but demonstrating resilience against coordinated criticism while maintaining effective governance. What we're witnessing is a calculated effort to undermine his authority and erode public trust. The coming months will determine Starmer's political fate. He stands at a crossroads, either adapt his leadership approach to counter these relentless attacks, or maintain his current course. The latter option risks portraying weakness on the international stage when Britain needs strength. His ability to weather this storm while still delivering on domestic promises will ultimately define his legacy as Prime Minister.